Welcome. In this video we're going to be looking at the internal workings of a 3-port mid-position valve, both in practice and in principle, and we'll also look at some of the issues 3-port valves can cause electrically. So here's our valve, and with the cover off, in about this position here, we would see 2 microswitches, and we would see the cam and prongs which push onto the microswitches when the motor moves into mid and central heating only position. Prong 1 is slightly longer, and so switch 1 will make before switch 2. Let's have a look at the internal wiring schematic. So we can see our 2 switches, our motor and our circuitry. There's no neutral and earth shown for simplicity. Our white wire is our central heating on from our rheostat. The grey wire is the hot water off, and the orange is our switch live to the boiler and pump. At the moment, this valve would be in the rest position, which is hot water only, and the boiler and pump with hot water on will simply be fed by the cylinder stat. Let's have a look at the white wire live pathway. So when central heating is cooling, we get 230 volts to the motor. But let's look at the other route as well. We also get the power come through switch 2 via this circuitry to the motor. This circuitry creates a DC current. When we have 230 volts, it takes precedence. So central heating on, motor turns. When the valve gets to the mid position, switch 1 changes position. And we now only have DC going to the motor, and that causes the motor to stall, and so the valve remains in mid position. If we now turn our hot water off, or it's satisfied, we get power to the motor. The motor continues to turn, and switch 2 operates, and we get power to the boiler and pump via the orange wire. In this position, the ball within the valve is being held tight against the hot water port by this feed from the grey wire. So if we were to turn central heating off at this point, we'd lose our live feed to the boiler and pump, so they would stop working. But the valve itself will remain in central heating only position because of this continued supply from hot water off. This can sometimes cause issues with some boilers because, as you can see, we're also getting, although at a reduced voltage, we're still getting some voltage through these resistors to the boiler, and some boilers will remain on because of that feed. Let's have a look at this working in practice. So let's turn the central heating on. Hot water's on, but let's put central heating on, so we're going to move to mid position. We're now in position. Switch 1 is actuated, that's the top one. Let's turn the hot water off. Switch 2, and the ball inside the valve moves all the way over to central heating only. And then just stops against that hot water channel. Now, if we turn hot water on, we get back to that mid position. Let's turn hot water off. So now we're central heating only. And let's turn central heating off. As you can see, the valve remains in the central heating only position with the motor receiving power all this time. The only way we're going to resolve that is to actually turn the hot water on for a couple of seconds, so let's do that. Micro switches can release and I can turn hot water off and everything is off. So let's consider one more issue with the wiring in the 3-port valve. At the moment this is showing a mid-position situation. Hot water is on and so the boiler and pump are being fed by the cylinder stat, and central heating is keeping the motor via the DC circuit in the stalled position. But when the valve moves from mid position to central heating only, we lose power from the cylinder stat to the boiler momentarily. So we receive power on the hot water off and the motor starts to turn. But until this switch is made, the boiler is receiving power via these two resistors. Being less than 230, most boilers will switch off in those few moments. Although quite quickly switch 2 makes, the boiler by this time will already be in its anti-cycle mode probably, and so there could be an issue. People may notice it, you may notice it, that the boiler anti-cycles when moving from mid position to central heating only. Most people won't notice, but it's a good thing to be aware of. So I hope you found that useful. If you did, please give the video a like. It will help other people find it more easily. And I'll see you next time. Take care.